If you do nothing, nothing new, nothing uncomfortable, nothing scary, your future is already decided. Not by fate, not by luck, not by the government, by inaction. Right now, there's a version of your life that is quietly loading. A future where you wake up tired, still chasing money, still blaming time, still saying, one day. And the terrifying part, that future doesn't require effort. It happens automatically. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll either wake up or confirm the path you're already on. The default life path. Most people think life is shaped by big decisions. It's not. It's shaped by defaults. If you don't consciously choose a direction, the system chooses one for you. Here's the default path. Go to school, get a job, get comfortable, get trapped, get tired, get old. Ask, where did the time go? No dramatic failure, no collapse, just slow decay. Most people don't ruin their lives. They simply never interrupt the pattern. And patterns are powerful because they feel safe. Comfort is the silent killer. Comfort doesn't hurt you immediately. That's why it works. Comfort says, you're doing fine. At least you're not struggling. Others have it worse. Comfort keeps you fed, distracted, entertained, and tired. And tired people don't rebel. They cope. Comfort doesn't destroy your life loudly. It sedates it. By the time you realize something is wrong, you're already deep into obligations. Bills, family expectations, fear of starting over. Comfort turns years into weeks. And weeks into regrets. Time is not on your side. People love saying, I still have time. No, you have momentum. And momentum doesn't ask where you want to go. It carries you where you're already moving. Look at your current habits. How you spend evenings. How you use money. What you avoid learning. What scares you. Now project that forward 10 years. That's your future. Time doesn't create change. Decisions do. And if you don't decide, you drift. The lie of later. Later is the most dangerous word in the human language. Later sounds responsible. Later sounds mature. Later sounds safe. But later is just fear in a suit. Later means when I'm more confident. When I have more money. When I know more. Truth. Confidence comes after action. Money comes after risk. Clarity comes after movement. Waiting doesn't prepare you. It traps you. And the longer you wait, the heavier starting feels. The invisible contract you signed. Without realizing it, most people sign an invisible contract. It says, I agree to trade my time for safety. I agree not to question the system. I agree to stay small as long as I'm comfortable. The system loves this contract. Because obedient people are predictable. Predictable people are profitable. If you don't break the contract consciously, you'll honor it for life. Not because you're weak, but because you never paused to question it. The moment that changes everything. Here's the truth most people never hear. You don't need motivation. You need interruption. A moment where you stop lying to yourself. A moment where you admit, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. One uncomfortable action today is more powerful than 10 years of thinking. Read differently. Learn differently. Earn differently. Think differently. The future only changes when the present is disrupted. Ending. Final wake-up call. One day, you'll wake up older. And you'll either say, I'm proud I chose discomfort early. Or, I wish I had started when I felt this warning. This video is that warning. If you do nothing, your future is already decided. But if this made you uncomfortable, good. That's the signal. Because comfort never changed a life. And inaction never created freedom. If you do nothing, nothing changes. And that's not a warning. That's a promise. Right now, a version of your life is already written. Not dramatic. Not tragic. Just small. Same mornings. Same worries. Same quiet panic at night when the noise stops. You won't notice when it locks in. Because it feels normal. This video isn't here to inspire you. It's here to tell you the truth most people avoid until it's too late. Your future doesn't need your permission. It only needs your silence. The future that requires no effort. The most dangerous future is the one you slide into. No collapse. No failure. No rock bottom. Just drifting. If you keep living exactly how you're living now, this is what happens. You get better at coping. Not better at winning. You normalize exhaustion. You call stress adult life. You tell yourself everyone feels this way. And slowly, your standards die. The system doesn't need to crush you. It just needs you comfortable enough to stay. Comfort is a sedative. Comfort isn't happiness. It's anesthesia. Comfort numbs the questions. Is this all? Why do I feel empty? Why am I afraid of starting over? Comfort gives you a salary that barely stretches. Distractions that eat your evenings. Just enough pleasure to forget the fear. Comfort turns decades into blinks. And one day you realize, you weren't building a life. You were maintaining a routine. Time doesn't heal, it erases. People think time fixes things. Time doesn't fix. Time locks in. Time makes bad choices permanent. Time rewards momentum, not intention. Look at your habits. What you avoid. What you tolerate. What you keep postponing. That's not temporary. That's who you're becoming. 10 years from now, you won't magically wake up braver. You'll wake up more afraid. Because starting late hurts more than failing early. Later is how dreams die quietly. Later is not a plan. It's a delay tactic. Later keeps you safe today and destroys you tomorrow. Later sounds like when things settle down, when I have more money, when I'm ready. But ready never comes. Life doesn't slow down so you can catch up. It speeds up. And every year you wait, you add another excuse. Bills, family, reputation, fear of looking stupid. Eventually, later turns into never. The invisible prison. You're not trapped by walls. You're trapped by agreements you never questioned. Agreements like, this is realistic. Be grateful. Don't risk too much. You traded freedom for predictability. And now predictability owns you. The system doesn't care if you're unhappy. It only cares if you're reliable. And most people are reliable workers, reliable consumers, reliable taxpayers, rarely free. The moment people realize, too late. There's a moment most people experience. It happens quietly. You're older, tired, and honest for the first time. You realize, no one stopped you. No one sabotaged you. You just never chose yourself. That regret doesn't scream. It whispers, I knew better. And that's the worst part. Ending, the final line. This is the moment. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. If you close this video and return to autopilot, nothing dramatic will happen. That's the danger. If you do nothing, your future is already decided. And it looks exactly like your present, just older, heavier, and harder to escape. This wasn't motivation. It was a mirror. Whether you look away or break the pattern, that choice still exists. For now, nothing bad is about to happen. No disaster. No collapse. No sudden loss. That's why this is dangerous. If you do nothing, your future is already decided. Not in a dramatic way. In a quiet way. The kind of future that arrives without asking. The kind you slowly wake up inside. This video isn't urgent. It doesn't need to be. Because time is already doing the work. The life that continues by itself. Most lives don't fall apart. They simply continue. Days repeat. Weeks blur. Years shorten. Nothing forces you to stop. Nothing forces you to change. You keep going. Not because it's good, but because it's familiar. And familiarity feels safe. The future doesn't need your effort. It only needs your consistency. Normal is the most effective trap. Normal is powerful. Normal doesn't hurt. Normal doesn't scare you. Normal doesn't demand anything. Normal says, this is just how life is. This is what adults do. This is fine. Normal slowly lowers your expectations. Normal teaches you to tolerate things you once questioned. And one day, you realize you stopped asking, is this what I wanted? Not because you found the answer, but because you forgot the question. Time is not waiting with you. Time feels patient. It lets you delay. It lets you postpone. It lets you say, later. But time is not neutral. Time records everything you repeat. And it multiplies it. What you tolerate now becomes permanent later. What you delay now becomes impossible later. Not because you can't, but because you won't. The longer something stays unchanged, the heavier it feels to move. Later sounds responsible. Later sounds reasonable. Later sounds mature. Later sounds safe. Later lets you avoid discomfort without guilt. You tell yourself, I'll think about it later. I'll start when things slow down. I'll change when I'm ready. Later never argues. Later never pressures. Later just waits. Until enough time passes that starting feels unrealistic. Then later disappears. The life you gradually accept. At some point, something subtle happens. You stop planning a different life. You start managing the one you have. You optimize routines. You adjust expectations. You learn to cope. Not because you chose this life, but because choosing something else feels disruptive. You didn't fail. You adapted. And adaptation feels like maturity, until you realize what it cost. The realization that comes quietly. The realization doesn't come with panic. It comes calmly. You look back, and you see it clearly. No one stopped you. No one controlled you. No one decided for you. You simply kept going. You didn't lose your future. You arrived exactly where your habits led. And that understanding sits quietly with you. Ending, no drama, just truth. Nothing needs to happen after this video. That's the point. If you close this and return to the same patterns, life will continue normally. That normal life will slowly become permanent. If you do nothing, your future is already decided. Not because you chose it, but because you didn't interrupt it. This isn't a warning. It's an observation. And observations don't chase you. They wait. If you do nothing, your future is already decided. Nothing dramatic is about to happen. No collapse. No sudden loss. No moment that forces you to change. Life will continue normally. That is the problem. The future you are moving toward does not require effort. It only requires repetition. This is not a warning. It is a description. The future that runs automatically. Most people do not choose their future. They arrive in it. Days repeat. Weeks blur. Years shorten. Nothing interrupts the pattern. Because nothing needs to. If you continue exactly as you are now, your life will continue exactly as it has been. This is not failure. This is momentum. Momentum does not care what you want. It only continues what you repeat. Normality is a trap. Most traps do not feel like traps. They feel normal. Normal work. Normal stress. Normal exhaustion. Normal slowly lowers your expectations. Normal teaches acceptance without agreement. At some point, you stop asking if this life fits you. Not because it does, but because the question feels unnecessary. Normal does not need to convince you. It waits until resistance fades. Time is not passive. Time feels patient. It allows delay. It allows hesitation. It allows later. But time is not neutral. Time records behavior. Then it compounds it. What you repeat now becomes permanent later. Not because you cannot change, but because change becomes unfamiliar. Familiarity always feels safer than freedom. The word, later. Later sounds reasonable. Later sounds responsible. Later sounds mature. Later removes urgency without removing consequences. Later does not argue. Later does not pressure. Later simply delays. Until delay becomes identity. Then later disappears. And nothing replaces it. Adaptation mislabeled as maturity. At some point, adaptation begins. You stop planning change. You start managing reality. You adjust expectations. You optimize routines. You accept limitations. This feels like growth, but it is not expansion. It is containment. You did not fail. You adapted. And adaptation feels quiet, permanent, reasonable. The realization that comes without panic. The realization arrives calmly. No fear. No breakdown. No urgency. You see the path clearly. No one stopped you. No one decided for you. You arrived exactly where your patterns led. Understanding does not change anything by itself. It only explains. Ending. Nothing needs to happen after this video. Life will continue. The future will keep forming quietly. If you do nothing, your future is already decided. Not because you chose it, but because you did not interrupt it. This was not motivation. It was observation. Observations do not demand action. They wait.